Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka magicman. This is episode 195. We're recording on September 21st. You're watching it on the 22nd or later. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, including a return of the rapid-fire round. But joining me, you know him, you love him, you want more of him, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
Do they really love me?
I don't know.
Do they even know me? I mean, really.
I don't know. I don't know if they love you. I don't know if they want more of you. I mean, that whole thing might have been a lie. I don't.
So you're basically Trump, anyway.
Ooh,
look at us.
Also on the line with, oh my God, actual internet, Quinlan Bowers, aka Q. How are you?
I am good. Don't you love my lovely white wall?
It's been so long. All the moving and crossing the country and driving and housing, and now we're finally settled, and you have real internets.
Yes.
The people are going to be thrilled that you are not pixels.
We're just thrilled that we think she can last the whole hour.
Right, right.
I mean, unless something happens. But
oh God, don't say that.
Don't even.
All right, let's get started with the news. All right, mini rapid fire round. Lots of small. We didn't do a show last week because there wasn't shit to talk about. There really wasn't, and I'd rather not do a show than force one, Jason. It just doesn't work. So here's one. We'll go with Jason's plate first. This is one that he's been dabbling in throughout all the testing phases. Not really my cup of tea. I played the originals, but really wasn't into Unchained at all. But Orcs Must Die Unchained. You know, that whole game where they said, we've got some great PvE games, and we want to make a free-to-play PvP game. Well, they did that. And now apparently PvP is being taken out of it. Surprise, surprise, you shoehorned PvP into what people thought was a PvE game, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Orcs Must Die franchise was built on. It's what people liked, and it's just what they wanted more of, just a bigger online, more people kind of version in the free-to-play game.
Quote, siege mode has missed the mark, Q. I think that's pretty blunt. That's pretty blunt.
yeah, no, that's kind of on the nose. I mean, at least they're being honest.
I mean, it is refreshing for them to do that, to not just say, you know, we didn't see the projected returns for our development time. It's like, no, it just wasn't. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean, they said missed the mark. Siege mode is just not the right
out.
fit. It hasn't worked out. I mean, kudos to them. I mean, thank God they put some PvE in at one of the last tests, right? Otherwise, this game wouldn't be anything anymore.
Yeah.
Jason, was PvP that bad? I mean, I didn't really do it. It wasn't what I played Orcs Must Die for when I did play it.
Well, honestly, first of all, you say I've been following it the whole time. I played like a match or two with Spunkify like 2.5 years ago. That's the last time I touched this game. So.
Oh, I thought you were a little more active in it in the recent tests.
No, because when I played the PvP game, I was like, oh, this is just a MOBA. It's got some different little elements to it, but it's lanes. You got minions running around. Got a little different stuff on how you like buy the minions, and you have to spawn them out of certain rooms or whatever. So it was kind of a little interesting, but otherwise it was MOBA gameplay with kind of an Orcs Must Die feel to it. So it didn't really interest me that much. Now I see this though, and I go, well, you know, maybe I'll get into it now. Maybe I'll even almost have to do another first look. So I think that's what we were doing it for a couple of years ago. Was Spunkify and I working on the first look for that?
Right.
So this is something we might have to revisit, maybe do another video or something on. But yeah, I've never played the PvE version of this. I don't think I've even played like a real normal Orcs Must Die game. I watched people play it. I've seen streams. I know what they're like. But I've never actually done it myself, so it might be something to. Now I feel more interested in the game, knowing that all that stuff is in there, and that it's going to be the focus of it. Because again, PvP, it just felt like another MOBA with a little bit of a different feel to it.
So now another first look update, which we've already done one before. So very look forward to that. Q, I gotta ask the obvious question though. If you trim Unchained down to just the PvE, and you already have Orcs Must Die and Orcs Must Die 2, what, I mean, are you, really the only benefit I see right now is you may be picking up a bit of an audience that doesn't want to shell out money for Orcs Must Die or Orcs Must Die 2. And is the audience really that big to go after? I don't know.
I mean, that's a really good question, because obviously when they decided to do this version with PvP, they were trying for a completely different audience, just using, the themes they had in the other games. So yeah, I don't know that there is any benefit other than, it's something that people who don't want to spend the money on the other games can just pop into and play.
Would be my guess, though, would be that the early 2 games, they sold them and they're kind of sitting there now. But now we got a cash shop.
Yeah,
Keep making money continuously.
And that's the way I feel like they've got to be looking at it. But on the other side of that is, okay, are you going to have enough players to support even making money off of that? So it's going to be something worth keeping an eye on. And I don't think... I wouldn't be surprised if PvP in some form comes back to this game.
Yeah, they've said that they do think it's.
It was just siege mode, their primary thing. They missed the mark on, and maybe try something else in the future. So, which do we run first, Jason? Let's make our predictions. Orcs Must Die Unchained is closing, or Orcs Must Die Unchained is adding a new PvP mode?
I'll be optimistic and say they'll do a PvP mode at some point.
Q?
I'm going to go with that too, just based on the fact that, like Jason was saying, the siege mode was more like a MOBA, and I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe that's where they missed the mark, is going, oh, this game, the PvE players, like, they're totally going to love a MOBA, instead of, maybe something that's kind of PvP light would be more appropriate for that particular audience to get them over there.
Well, you guys are incredibly optimistic. I'm gonna go with Orcs Must Die Unchained is closing as the next major headline for this game. I just don't think, and I could be totally wrong here, I don't think there's a big enough audience to support it, even on the PvE side, long term. Maybe it'll do well in the short run. People who maybe never played Orcs Must Die or Orcs Must Die 2 jump in for free and not have to shell out any money. I just don't see the model lasting very long. So prediction's sure to go wrong, and well, somebody's going to get it right on this particular one. Next up, Marvel Heroes. Speaking of last week, us talking about this headline felt exactly like it to me, Jason. 2 weeks ago, we talked about like maybe oversimplifying some games and taking out some of the more complex items. Well, Marvel Heroes is going through a big system update that changes basically how every hero works. They call it, of course, the biggest system update ever. Probably not, but whatever. And it focuses on improving both the quality of the game's heroes, updating every one of them in a single patch. Power points are going away. To unlock a power without, you'll be able to unlock a power to full potency without having to allocate points. Powers only scale based on your hero's levels. I mean, it's being really, really trimmed down. So, good thing or bad thing for Marvel Heroes? The comments, I'll tell you, seem really, really mixed. Maybe a little in favor of, I'll try it, but I think this might be a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing on a couple of different levels. I think, first of all, you have a game like Marvel Heroes, free to play, big, huge IP. It's going to draw in a lot of people who aren't that into video games, aren't that into the ARPG kind of stuff. So they have to present something that's fairly simple to get, Joe Random comic book reader into this game. So simplifying how you build out your character is not necessarily a bad thing. As I look over it, it's the sort of thing where I think if this had been what they'd gone with from the start, no one would have a complaint. But the fact that they started with something a little more complex and are now kind of reducing that a bit, some of the people who were more into that and had mastered all their builds and whatever are definitely going to have some issues with it because it seems like it's a lot simpler. But overall, it's not like it's just press one button to kill and press one button to teleport and that's it. There's still a fair amount of strategy there. And on the other part of it, I think it also makes it easier for the developers because, they introduce a new hero like every month or every other month or so. So now they can simplify what they put into that and not have to worry about not worry about as many interactions between heroes or having to balance as many powers or talents or whatever. So I think it makes it a little easier on them to implement that sort of stuff more smoothly as well.
This one I was split on, Q. When I first read Jason's article about it, I kind of got the impression of oversimplification. But then when I went and read the dev post, which is pretty lengthy, I mean, head on over to MMO Bomb, check out Jason's article and link it up and go look at it. It seemed very, very logical and methodical what they were doing. And yeah, while there's the argument that, okay, some of what made my character unique is now going away, and this feels more like, a Diablo 3 clone, and This isn't what the original devs had in mind. By the way, most of them are gone now. I'm leaning more towards this is a positive thing, but I'm not like, throwing a parade or over it. It's just I think this will probably be a good thing overall, Q.
Well, I think, too, one of the things you have to look at is players tend to be overly romantic about the way games work. So if it's the way they've been playing it for a while, even though, going and making these changes are probably the best thing for the developers to do, you are going to have those players that are just super, they've super romanticized the way things are. I
don't know what you're talking about. Final Fantasy XI was the best MMO ever.
See, exactly like that. But, so basically, like you said, most of the original devs are gone. So what the original devs designed doesn't really matter at this point. It's whatever keeps the game up and running.
What is that?
That would be the faucet.
Oh, okay. It's like there's snakes in Q's motherfucking room.
Maybe the bomb's getting ready to go off.
Until all our stuff gets here, we're literally sharing a card table as a desk. So it's in the living room. Sorry. But it's just the case of whatever keeps the game living the longest is obviously what the devs are going to decide they need to do, whether or not it makes long-term players a little grumpy about it.
Let us know what you think if you're a Marvel Heroes fan in the comments below on that one. Big changes, no date on them yet. They're just, they're coming soon. Next up in the rapid fire round, Neverwinter has 12 million players across all platforms. That's about 7 million on the PC version, 2 million on the PlayStation 4, and another 3 million on the Xbox One. And let's all sit for a minute and absolutely take at face value that there are 12 million people playing Neverwinter.
1,200 maybe. Okay. A little more than that, probably.
And you know what? My current, even though I am playing more WoW than Final Fantasy XIV at the moment, my favorite MMORPG is Final Fantasy XIV. I make no bones about it at the moment, but they're just as guilty as this crap, too. Just as guilty of it. There are not 12 million people playing Neverwinter. There are 12 million emails or gamer tags registered at one point or another.
And I'll give Square Enix credit because that's what they usually say. They say there have been 6 million accounts made or something.
Or 6 million adventurers.
Yeah. Whereas if Neverwinter really said in their press release we have 12 million players, then that's BS. Yeah.
Yeah. And they
no, they did. They said they did say players because I wrote that.
Yeah, and it's right on their website too. So here's some of the things that I want to share with you. And this is just on the PlayStation 4. Their headline here is over 2 million adventurers on PlayStation 4. So maybe being a little skittish there, but we went by the initial press release that said players. So here's the deal. I broke down some of they always release these like infographics, right, Jason, that are like, 30,000 guilds created, Q, blah, 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 blah. So this is just for the PlayStation 4 version of the game. It says 2 million people are playing Neverwinter on the PlayStation 4. And that's what it says. 2 million people are playing Neverwinter on PlayStation 4. Over 12 million on all platforms. So the implication there is players. That's more than all the people in New York City. All right? There's 1.6 billion total minutes that have been played on the PlayStation 4 alone. That's time enough for 110 trips to Pluto and back. What they don't tell you is if you actually do the math, that equals 13.5 average hours per 2 million players, which is not a lot of time for people to be playing your MMORPG, sinking in 13.5 hours as the average time. Of those 12 million, only 30,000 players reach the level cap.
Wow, that's what they actually say in their infographic?
Yeah, but they post it as, exclamation point. Over 30,000 players have reached the max level cap.
Wow, that can't be. That's terrible.
And this is just on the PlayStation 4 version of the game. Over 50 billion Astral Diamonds earned. That's a lot of diamonds. Well, they're just, giving away like candy and because of technical issues. Adventurers have formed 11,000 guilds. So 2 million people have formed 11,000 guilds. There's some big fucking guilds on the PlayStation 4 version of Neverwinter.
Right? Well, the other thing I'm wondering too is for your play, like I don't know, with console players, how much time do they actually spend in an MMO?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not a whole ton of data there. Super Data really doesn't focus too much on that one yet, on a console PC distinction. I'm sure it's coming as more and more MMORPGs push into there. And again, that's just the PlayStation version. I'm trying to find if there was an infographic for the PC version, but I can't find one. The only one that I can find. What's that?
Like one that just came out recently?
Yeah, well, accompanying this announcement, because the...
I think when I wrote it, like when I wrote this based on the press release they sent, that it really, even though, they did put the numbers in for the other two systems, it really kind of focused on the PlayStation.
That being the newest launch, of the game on that console. So yeah, I just thought the numbers, if you broke them down... Yeah, that wasn't actually good news. 2 million. 12 million total. There aren't 12 million people playing Neverwinter. I do occasionally dabble in Neverwinter both on PC and the PlayStation 4 myself, so I am one
Maybe that's the word they need to use. There's 12 million people dabbling.
Dabbling. 12 million people have dabbled in Neverwinter. Frankly, I hate PR like this. I really do, Jason. It bugs me. It's almost purposely misleading.
Like, you know me, I like numbers-based articles.
Yes.
I like when that sort of stuff comes out. And like you said, you're doing the whole dividing it by this and getting that to get interesting information. But yeah, when you push it like that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and they use the word players. And here's the thing. Like, do you think Final Fantasy is just as guilty of it? It's still misleading. I know maybe they're a little more accurate on their terminology and saying this is, basically accounts created, and they're not being as messy or gray area with the word players. But they're basically guilty of the same thing, too. So here's my question. Should they even release stuff like this? If you're not going to release subs, if you're a sub-based game, and even Blizzard stopped doing that, right? They're not going to be releasing those numbers anymore. So why go anywhere with it? Everybody and their mother knows that this is, flamboyant marketing, not information. It's marketing. And honestly, I don't think subscriber games should release their numbers, because it doesn't, unless you gained players, it's bad news. Every single time.
Well, that's the thing. The best thing about WoW releasing their player numbers was the fact that every so often we got to write another WoW is dying article. That was the best thing. Like, it's great for press when they release their numbers and their numbers drop. It's great for press, because then you're just like, WoW is dead, and everybody flocks to it to yell at you that WoW isn't dead. But I mean, even with WoW, right? You consider, okay, they had in their their largest period, they had 13 million subscribers, but how many of those were multi-boxers?
Yeah, I mean,
probably not a huge proportion, not enough to really throw
I just don't see a benefit here. Everybody knows you're boosting the numbers for advertising.
That's where I think you're wrong. That's why, because I think that everybody knows when it comes from you and me and people watching this podcast, and that 20% or 25% of gamers who follow all this news religiously. The vast majority of people just don't. They're going to look around and just be, I want to play a free online game. Click into Google. Oh, this one has 12 million. Awesome, let's go. That's the extent of their research. I think there isn't that much done to it.
That may be a very fair
point. This sort of stuff is not designed necessarily for you and I. It's designed for the masses, so to speak.
All right, I concede that. That's a fair point. Riders of Icarus then also turned around like the next day and did the same thing. Apparently there's over 1 million people playing in the Western version of that game. Somebody commented on last show, like, why do we hate Riders of Icarus?
It's not we, it's just me.
Yeah,
I play it.
It's just this guy. I play Riders. So. Yeah, I play Riders of Icarus.
They let me collect mounts. I'm totally happy.
This one I couldn't care less about, so I'm going to pass it to Jason, then we'll move on from the rapid fire round. Dreadnought increases match size from 5v5 to 8v8. This one's a bit slow for my taste, so how does this change impact the game, Jason? Does it make sense? What's the rationale behind it?
It'll be faster now, because there'll be 3 more people ganking you.
True.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because we have the fight, and a lot of what they said was that it was to make it so you didn't necessarily feel like you were so critical to the game, which on some level people like. I mean, you look at your typical MOBA, the really competitive kind of games. A lot of them are 5v5 or something like a shooter like Overwatch is 6v6. So I kind of get why you having the small teams there to try and make every role of that much more important. I think they're doing this. They did this largely to give it a more of a wider appeal, so you don't feel like you're that crucial. Like you're the one guy who picks the healer out of 5, and now you have to go and heal everybody. Now you can have room for 2 of those. Maybe 2 or 3 people taking the dreadnoughts, the big ones. So you got a lot more variety you can have in your team makeup, and a lot less pressure to really perform and be that kind of top-notch player to carry your team.
All right, so I guess it's good.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
All right,
Plus more explosions.
That's always good. Moving
There you
on,
go.
let's talk RuneScape. We don't really talk RuneScape an awful lot on this show, but I think it's time. They're gonna be going to a whole expansion model, which... Oh, hold on, the damn Twitch. There we go. The Twitch link in there was advertising at me. The whole game's going to be moving to more of an expansion model, and expansions will be cool and free, so that's good for RuneScape players. There's also going to be weather stuff added, and these are all very cool things, but not what we're going to talk about at all. Because RuneScape, it may be, now this isn't 100% sure, I just got the impression from the video that this wasn't set in stone, but probably is.
It's actually one of those things where it's not 100% set in stone, but the game director really wants to do it, even though
Yes.
the rest of the team is iffy on it. So because he's the game director,
It's probably gonna happen.
Oh, this is the worst reason to do anything.
So,
he flat out said it.
yeah.
In the thing, he's like, one of the benefits of being me is that I get to do these passion projects, and this is one of my
Yep.
things.
And he flat out said that a lot of the other developers weren't really on board with this. They didn't really like this. So here's the high-level version of it. They're going to, or maybe, introducing a feature called bank bidders. And if you're in the West here, or even overseas, if you've ever seen an episode of Storage Wars on television, or shows of that ilk, it's basically that, where people are purchasing storage sheds that people have stopped making payments on or abandoned altogether, and you're basically rolling the dice. You get a chance to kind of peek at some basic information and then start bidding on it auction style, and whatever's in that storage bin you get. So RuneScape is talking about doing it, but how do you do this in a game? What would we sell? Well, I know what we'll sell. We'll sell items from banned accounts. So now keep in mind, you are not buying the account itself. So if you got banned, you're not going to be able to buy back your account. If you have another account, you could potentially be bidding on your own items, but it's not going to be that detailed. So here's the deal. If Jason gets banned, they're going to bounce him out of the game, and then they're going to take all of his stuff, package it together into a mystery box, give you some basic information about it, maybe tell you how long he's been playing, what his professions are, certain skills are, and why, maybe even why they got banned. And then people can start bidding GP, gold points, in-game currency for this lot. And it could contain a bunch of really cool stuff. It could contain shit. You know, you just have no idea what you're getting. And at first, I was like, that's a really cool idea. At first, I was like, that's really cool. Kind of give the middle fingers to these people that were banned. Just a last little poke, even though they don't care. They're not going to be seeing it in most cases anyway. And then give some things to people who want to play. Basically, it's a lockbox, right, Jason? I mean, you have a chance at crap, you have a chance at good stuff. So, to me, it really didn't... What didn't seem any different than a lockbox.
One question, are they paying using in-game currency or cash
The
shop?
screenshot showed GP, which is in-game currency.
Okay.
And that's one thing.
Better than a lockbox already.
However, none of the system is finalized.
None of this
so
is final.
it could end up being,
Right.
you know.
I'm just going by the screenshot that they sent, and I did look that up because that seemed worrying to me that Jagex was going to make money off of
people being banned.
off of people being banned
Sure.
and selling the goods in the game. So the screenshot showed GP, which of course I'm sure you could get from RMTs as well, but in-game currency is in-game currency. as I thought about this more and more, I kind of really, really didn't like the idea. And now I want to get your guys' impressions first before I give maybe some of my reasons why I generally thought it was cool, thought it was funny, thought it was a little unique, and then after thinking about it some more, was like, maybe this isn't the best way to go, Q.
Well, I mean, reading about it when I was writing it up, I liked the idea quite a bit, but then I'm a big old troll, so like I'm just amused by the entire thing. That's really what it comes down to. It amuses me, therefore I like it.
This really seemed to me, Jason, like one of Jason's awful ideas that maybe not be that awful. And then when I dug into it some more and thought about it, I was like, man, I know, I think this is just an awful idea. Where are you on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue is that, you know, if you have a banned account, why is it banned? Well, one of the things you might have done is you might have exploited stuff to gain tons more loot than you should have. So instead of getting rid of all that, you know, ill-begotten loot, they're going to sell it off to other players. So now you'll get the, you know, a legitimate player will have all the ill-begotten loot. And that just seems weird to me. Like, why wouldn't you want to just get rid of that stuff in the first place? And then now hearing, too, that it's just that the lead developer is going to push through to hell with what everyone else on his team thinks, that is awful. That is just an awful management style if that's what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, that I will admit to. The other thing is, though, you can think of it kind of like this, a little bit less like Storage Wars and more like when the police come and take the drug dealer's car and then sell off the car at auction.
Yeah, the car, but they don't sell off the drugs. These guys are selling off the car with the drugs in it.
Yeah, it just seemed, it started, as I thought about it, it started to seem really bizarre to me. It was, if these were ill-gotten gains, let's say botted, you know, farmed up X materials through botting, and this person was banned because of it, then the game masters should want that stuff out of the economy so as not to impact the economy in the negative way. Like, why are you going to ban somebody and then give somebody else everything they earned for being banned? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe if it was a case of being like a legit player who played normally, but then, you know,
right,
started, you know, abusing people in chat, harassing, whatever, you ban him. Maybe okay, then you sell off his stuff, but
yeah,
not anybody who circumvented the actual game mechanics.
Yeah, essentially, a lot of these to get banned and have items. Now, some of these are going to be everything in the bag is legit, right? And Jason just got banned for some extra reason that had nothing to do with exploiting, hacking, botting, creating, or anything like that. And so in that case, everything that Jason had is still legit, and we're just going to give it to some other player. But you can't... You either do this, or you don't do it. You don't half-ass it and say, all right, well, these guys botted things, so we're going to take these out of their inventory and sell off the rest, which is not the inclination they gave. It was kind of like we're just packaging it up and selling it all, which just seemed counterintuitive to me. I think it's really funny. I think it's really trolly. I think there's an idea in there somewhere on what to do with some of this stuff.
Refine it a little?
Refine it a bit. But I don't think this is generally a great idea for those reasons. I do think it's funny, though.
Maybe this is just PR. Maybe they're never really planning to do it, and they're just getting people to talk about it.
Somebody commented that on the article.
Oh, okay.
They said that they thought that this would be something that was implemented just to attract some players very quickly, and then would be taken out very quickly, if it was even implemented at all. This does not impact people that just haven't played in a long time, by the way. If you weren't banned, this doesn't impact you. What the? I don't know.
The bird is knocking on the windowsill.
All right, quickly, before we go on to the weekly bombs, we put up some first looks in the last 2 weeks. We did Eternal, which, Jason, I'll let you talk about. I did the first look here. It's a card game, but you happen to know some of those folks. And then Battlerite as well, which we gave away like almost 4,000 beta keys to a weekend-long beta test. So, which is a bit PvP focused, 3v3 spiritual successor to Bloodline Champion. So we'll talk about that. Let's start with Eternal. What do you got, Jason?
Yeah, well, it's a card game, and it does a lot of the card gamey things. A lot of the things you're going to recognize, and it's almost meant to be kind of a blend between Hearthstone and Magic. Like, they know that a lot of people who are really into CCGs don't like the randomness of Hearthstone and the casual play of it, but they also realize that Magic is a game that was made for, you know, for tabletops, for the real world. So the video game adaptations have not always done that great and not been really optimized for that sort of thing. So they wanted to produce an optimized form of Magic that also made it feel like a more tactical and more strategic form of Hearthstone. That's the kind of audience they're going for, that kind of competitive player mostly who wants the feeling of both games, but optimized for the current environment.
And I gotta say, on that front, they nailed it. I liked the enhanced strategy playing it while maintaining a much faster match than a traditional Magic the Gathering match against two equally opposed teams. I think they nailed it really well on that front.
I think there are some gameplay elements I would have chosen not to copy quite so properly.
Same here.
The land thing, or whatever they're called, the sigils.
Yep.
I mean, that's one I've taught. Like you say, I know these guys. I know some of the guys who work on this, and I always give them hell about that. I'm like, why'd you do? Richard Garfield, the guy who created Magic, he doesn't like land. He says if he could do it over again, he wouldn't put it in. So why are you guys putting it in? And the reason is because it's always been there, and whatever.
Yeah.
If you like that, if you like Magic, if you don't want to move on from that style of gameplay, this is good for you. If you want to have something a little different, that feels a little different, then there are a lot of other games out there instead. So
Q, I give it about a 5.5 to a 6. Again, that's on my 1 through 10, where 7 is pretty an average title worth checking out. I think this one's a little below average because it is, just to me, there's so much in this market that it's not really doing super things to attract attention. It's a decent game. I appreciate it for what it was, but it's just not something I'm generally going to play, so I'll put it at a 5.5, 6. What'd you think, Q?
I mean, that is the thing, is there's just so many card games now. I don't even remember what one it was. The other day you gave me something to write, and I was like, oh, another card game. Yay! So, I mean, I'm kind of not caring about card games in general because there's so many of them and they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, on the Eternal First Look on YouTube, somebody was commenting about, oh, Jesus, it's another card game, because there was like 4 or 5 first looks where like 3 or 4 of them in a row were somebody's version of a card game. And I had to chime in. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't make the games too and then play them and record a first look. I mean,
But I liked your intro to the Battlerite, the first look, though.
Yes, yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. But I was like, I can't make the games too. I'm limited by what comes out, unfortunately, on that front. So, yeah, Jason, if you had to score it at this point, again, it's still not fully released, so of course things can change. What would you say?
Yeah, it's a closed beta. I mean, I'd probably about the same as you, probably around a 5, maybe a 6. It just seems like it's going to have a hard time really. It doesn't really have that wow factor, not World of Warcraft, but that sort of, hey, look at this, it's so cool kind of thing. I think that's going to be something they really have to work on to try and draw people in.
Battlerite, when I did the first look, my opening line was, magicman from mmobomb.com bringing you another first look, and this time it's not another fucking card game! So, yeah, Battlerite by Stunlock Studios, spiritual successor of Bloodline Champions. Aw, little dash hound. Floppy ears. So, brought the first look out. I love when people commented that the NDA hadn't dropped yet, which technically their original date it hadn't, but if you look at the screen right at the beginning, you can see they dropped the NDA early. It's right on the home screen, man. Just watch the video. Just watch. Just sit back and watch. This one for me, I actually enjoyed, and I enjoyed the bots match. I did really well in, no problem. It's bots. The PvP match, my teammate and I got smoked. We got smoked badly.
That was your teammate's problem, right? It was totally his
fault.
fault.
In the comments, somebody was like, yeah, you suck at PvP games and card games. And I was like, I don't suck at card games. I lost in Eternal in the video by really good play.
Oh, dude, I saw your first game in Eternal, your PvP game. You smoked that guy.
Yeah, the one that DC'd. So in Eternal, I got outplayed by a surprise instant card, and it was a good play. It wasn't just bad at it. This one, generally... The other thing about first looks, gang, is for God's sakes, it's literally in most cases the first time we're playing the game, so that the experience is representative of what you are going to experience too. Next time I'll take 2 months and I'll get good first, and then we'll do a first look and you'll yell about the first look being so late. Anyway, Battlerite, I enjoyed Battlerite a lot. I still don't quite get their cash shop. It seems like all that it is right now is that you have the opportunity to buy that one type of chest. I don't know if that's going to change or if they're just going to roll with that, hoping that that's enough. That may be what they're doing, because on their site, they continuously talk about you can get everything in this game through gameplay. Craft your cards, all this, wrong game. All the heroes, all that stuff. Generally, this one was fun for me. I'm going to give it a 7 at this point. It's an average title, definitely worth checking out. Particularly, if you liked Bloodline Champions, you might give this one a higher score. Q?
I hate scoring games that aren't out.
Oh, this one's out. It came out in early access yesterday.
Like the whole, finalize. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to sit down and mess with it myself yet due to the whole moving thing. So I just.
All right, then don't score it. That's not fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Go ahead, Jason.
I played 3 matches of Bloodline Champions 7 years ago, so that totally qualifies me, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the reason I played only 3 of them is I thought it was okay, but it just seemed a little too plain for me. It was just 2 of us versus 2 of them. Just I just wanted something a little more in a PvP game. So I can get why that's.
If you want just a little more, go to 3v3.
Well, 3v3. Okay, whatever. Maybe I did 3v3 in my old days, but yeah, it's I don't know. I just expect to have a little bit more in terms of using cover mechanics or powers available or something like that. I can see how it would be. I mean, I can see it's a really good skill-based game if you're really into that kind of competitive kind of stuff.
Yep.
Probably not so much for me though, but if it's your flavor, go for it.
Check out the first look. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. I've already alluded to mine, so I'll go first. An A-bomb to stupid press releases saying nothing at all. I'd rather you just have you say nothing at all. Final Fantasy XIV does this as well. Neverwinter has 12 million players. My ass. They have 12 million email addresses, console gamer tags, whatever. Square Enix, you do this shit too, and it pisses me off just as much then. Jason!
I'm going to give an A-bomb to my coffee pot for breaking this morning.
Oh, cruel. That's why I use the French press.
It cracked, and I didn't notice it, so I got a pot of coffee brewing, and then I went to the bathroom, and I come back, and there's coffee all over my counter.
That's terrible.
So I had to run out and buy a new one and make that up. But I have to give a dub-bomb, though, to my toaster. Still going strong after 54 years.
How do you have a 54-year-old toaster?
It was a wedding present to my parents, and I took it with me when I left for college, and I still just kept using it.
Wow.
So,
that's crazy.
My parents are married in August 1962.
Go ahead, Q.
I'm going to give a bomb to no longer living in a tent or a hotel.
That's definitely good
really
news.
Awesome. There's rooms where I'm at now. It's great. And also on the point of the stupid press release stuff, I want to add to that the whole thing of game developers building websites, complete websites that say nothing about their games.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Stop doing that.
Jason
You and I
hates
both
that,
having to do all the game pages.
Yep.
Yeah.
This says nothing.
Even could you maybe have 4 or 5 screenshots of your game somewhere on your site? Just to show it off.
Something. From the viewers, Penline says, still playing Aura Kingdom. The game has averaged a new content patch every other month since launch. They've added 8 new maps, 5 new classes, dozens of dungeons, dozens of eidolons, and a ton of other stuff. X-Legend confirmed they're working on a mobile app based on the IP. With the launch of Twin Saga, X-Legend now has 5 active games in the Western market. Even 7-year-old Grand Fantasia got a new dungeon in August. All right, Penline enjoying some Aura Kingdom. Go ahead, Q.
Deathlock, A-bomb to Area Games and X-Legends for Twin Saga. It's a complete copy and paste of Dragonman Hunter and Aura Kingdom. I play with Gunner class or whatever it's called. I look dumb as hell with my arms flailing around like Drake of 99 Dragons. It's a mixed match here.
I know what he's talking about. Yeah, with the guy with his guns. Yeah.
So with the good comes the bad for X-Legend, I guess. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, Booney Dog 96 says, "Hey, MMO how about covering the real money transactions market for a change of pace? Maybe the syndicates such as yours might be able to shine some light on the subject. I mean, RMT is only a multi-billion-dollar industry that has a very strong influence on the MMORPG genre. I understand it's a touchy subject, but the free-to-play industry does its best to combat third-party RMT. Maybe if we get some insight from free-to-play advocates, then we can understand what game companies have to add to their monetization implementation.
Now, there were some people that commented we had touched on this in a previous episode when we were talking about combating botting and RMT and gold selling in general. First off, with a syndicate such as ours, shine some light on the subject. That's very flattering. I think you may think we're a bit bigger than we are, but
we got like a team of like 50 researchers, in a closet somewhere.
Right. The real money stuff. It's
so
tough.
He's talking about stuff like Entropia Universe, that kind of game. Is that what he means?
No. I think Boony Dog is talking about the underground buying gold market.
Oh, okay.
And it's weird because Guild Wars 2 just kind of took a little bit of a beating because people misunderstood something that they posted on a Reddit or somewhere. Some comment I saw got misconstrued.
How did I miss that?
But see, the thing is, it isn't illegal. That's the problem. It's not illegal. It may be against the end user license agreement, but it's not illegal. So as far as the games themselves or the companies or Square Enix shutting these companies down, they can go after them as much as they want, but it's just never ever going to go away. Now, here's what my problem is. I don't have a problem if Jason and we build our own RMT company, and we're doing it the legit way, right? We farm up the gold ourselves, and then we sell it off. I would never buy it, but you're running a business. There's a demand for it. Okay, fine. Now, Square Enix, if that's the game you're playing, does deserve the ability to catch you and get you the hell out of there because you are violating their in-game EULA by accepting those goods. The buying of it wasn't illegal. It's the accepting those goods in exchange for real-life cash. My problem is when it starts getting into hacking accounts, stealing things from other players. I really think there needs to be more of an emphasis on that side. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, and I know this might be like conspiracy theory, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, and I'm sure this is the case, that some of these companies that do the RMTs are in bed with the companies that generate the games as well, to a certain extent. I don't know if there would be big dogs in this, like a Blizzard, like a Square Enix or anything like that. I think it's unlikely for them because that would seriously damage reputations. But I wouldn't put it past some of these other smaller companies. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be accused of anything.
The really small and crappy ones, sure, I could see that. But yeah, nobody, even in like the AA or reasonable.
Booty Dog, let us know what in particular you'd like us to talk about. I'm not opposed to talking about real money transaction stuff on here. I'm not going to name companies that I think would be involved in shady shit, just so I don't get myself in legal trouble. But other than that, we'll talk about it. The Magic Doll says, City of Heroes has great build diversity. It's an MMO that did things right. It also, sadly, the one MMO game that got closed despite doing well, but due to company politics.
Define well.
Hey, it was profitable, but not
everything is profitable
enough. But not profitable enough. Go ahead, Q.
Surly, currently playing Cabal Online, Guild Wars, and Tree of Savior. Looking forward to playing more DDO soon. The Bomb to Skyforge for very nearly tempting me to come back, but I'm just too busy in current games at the moment.
Jason, I put your weekly commenter in order here so you would get it.
You just know my guy. My boy Wilfredo Rivera says, gotta say it, A-bomb for no monk love. I want to kick a kneecap out from under some mob and then bludgeon mobs in the face like lightning. But a dub bomb to Blade and Soul for giving me that shot. I used to be an adventurer like you until I took a monk kick to the knee.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Sky Shadow, to bomb to all for you knowing about Dustin and Elysian Tale. I was surprised that... Okay. It makes me happy to know that's not completely dead. I've asked so many people, no one even heard of it. A little hope. Thanks so much. You're really welcome. I think
ask me what other games I've heard of.
Right. Question of the week last week, with more titles coming out this year, what are you currently sinking time or money into the free-to-play market, and why? Elusive X Treasure for the question of the week, Rift, and more Rift. I think I'll be playing that game till the servers go dark. What's better? I now have an excuse to make another character. Gonna go Rift Stalker Saboteur hybrid for dungeon tanking, and since they just revamped Saboteur, it'll be a blast. Pun intended. Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, we're the jokesters on this show. Don't try to mess them up.
Go ahead, Q.
For Tiggs, I've been taking advantage of my returnee bonus from Dungeon Fighter Online to level a Demonic Lancer in between games of League. Although I'm starting to reach my limit when it comes to PvP only games, so I've been mulling over whether to go back to Wakfu for a bit or try Star Trek Online since I never really gave it a fair shot to begin with.
I'm in that boat too. I always feel bad that I haven't played more Star Trek Online because
Me too.
Yeah, I remember
the ground combat's just so bad.
it was just terrible. So
I want to get back in to see how they changed the skills, see if they made that work any better. And also, if we group together, we'd have just a few of our bridge crew.
I say the ground combat is so bad, but I'll still play the Secret World. That doesn't make sense. I'm a walking enigma.
Well, the Secret World, though, if you're playing the Secret World, you're playing it for the puzzles and stuff.
Right.
So.
Go ahead, Jason.
The reason I've been playing SWTOR is for the story, not the
Right.
combat. Deathlock says, question of the week, I've recently been sinking my time back into Skyforge. Ever since I heard about the changes coming this fall, it has really got me wanting to play again. Also, since Star Trek Online is released on the PS4, I've been playing the heck out of that too. I just wish the ground combat was good.
There it is.
You read these ahead of time, so you know about all this.
Look, watch the first look. Years and years and years ago, I said the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So, Kevin Sharp, question of the week. To be honest, none, really. The game I've been sinking the most time into has been SWTOR, and as mentioned many a time, and correctly so, it's worth it when you're subbed. But since I'm a subscriber, I cannot qualify for the question of the week. The only title that would qualify that I've logged time in, off or on, is Neverwinter. You are one of 12 million, my friends. Congratulations.
Maybe he's all of them. Maybe he is the multi-blockster extreme. He has all 12 million accounts.
Go ahead, Q.
James Esparza, Smite all night, son. Been playing Smite since forever beta and found myself forever hooked.
You did not read that with the exclamation point. James put that on the end of that.
I'm sorry, I don't do exclamation
points. That is Smite all night, son. Go ahead.
Beyond that, I've been dabbling my time into Elder Scrolls Legends because my gaming rig needs replacing, and ESO is my go-to RPG, so my crap laptop can only play less processor-heavy games. Since ESL, I can technically still be a wood elf, so at least I got that going for me. I just saw Bill Murray saying that in my head. I am planning on jumping back into Skyforge. I always enjoyed their combat. It's a welcome change of pace compared to others.
Couple votes for Skyforge there. Go ahead, Jason.
Randy's price tag says...
I think that's
currently
Randy's price tag.
Price tag.
Okay. I was like, well, I thought I saw it as spice at first, and I was like, there's an R in there. Okay, so it's Sprice. Whatever. Okay. I'm sorry, man. Currently playing Blade and Soul, Dota 2, and Guild Wars 2. I used to only play pay-to-play games, but currently going hardcore into free-to-play games for the first time. Oh, welcome to the club, Randy's price tag.
Randy's price tag.
Ben B says,
for now, he's always going to be Randy's price tag.
Ben B says, I'm currently playing Blight of the Immortals. It's the first long time frame strat. What?
Long time frame.
Oh, long time frame. So, okay, thank you. Thank you. A little hyphen there. That'll be great. First long time frame.
Randy's price tag.
It is the first long time frame strategy game I've seen done right, using what they call slow real-time co-op multiplayer. Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? It's been free to play early access on Steam, but it's very polished and complete from what I've seen. Having it run while to do other things for a week. I would recommend it to anyone looking for an interesting and strategic experience that they could check into once or twice a day to update orders, etc. Not sure if it will make it out of early access, but it has an interesting take on long-term strategy games that I hope will be developed into a genre of slow real-time multiplayers, or SRMTMs, that aren't just pay-to-win mobile building queues. Jason, that might be worth you taking a look at. You're into the Civs and Total Wars and stuff like that.
Stuff that actually requires you to play. I mean,
fair enough. Question of the week this week: what do you think of RuneScape's banned account item selling idea? Why do you feel that way? And would this work better or differently in a different game, or done in a different way? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget your weekly bombs: dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad. And until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
I guess actually online again.
Yay!
But Twitter at Quintlin, as always.
Jason.
Find me on Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1, or come on over to MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related, where we've got the articles, the videos, the first looks, the giveaways, everything you could want for free-to-play gaming. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.